Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Data Secured. My name is Flobo Boyce, but of course, as always, I'm not alone. Please welcome from Informatica, Pathik Patel. How's it going, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Flobo, for kicking this off. Excited to talk to our audience.
Yeah, last time I saw you was before the holidays. So how was everything on that end?
That's right. Yeah, holidays was good. Overall, stayed in the house because California was flooded with rain. So that's what my holidays were mostly.
Understandable. Before we get into the brass tacks of everything today, I have just been informed that you have a black belt in Taekwondo.
That's right. Yeah, it's been a long time. I haven't practiced for a while, but yes, I spent 15 years of my life training for Taekwondo.
Yeah.
It's one of the thing I would say that I until I die I'll cherish it forever. It gave me discipline, it gave me patience, and overall, like, better physical health. But so yeah, pretty proud of it.
Was it like me when I was a kid having a big desire to be a Power Ranger? Is that why you started, or was it another reason?
No, no, it was just like a discipline thing from my parents, and
Yeah.
it worked. So that's pretty much.
So we were talking about when it comes to data and data security. I want to know what your story was. How did you get involved in security space?
That's an exciting one. Long back, when I was doing my masters, at the time I saw one of the security features from Yahoo. You all recall, right, that every day in and out we feel this captchas, right? Like
Yeah.
those crooked characters that we have to type in. So in early days, Yahoo released those captcha, and I'm like, "Oh, this is the smartest thing ever! You are beating those computers now." And I say to myself that I want to work for this company. I want to do what they do. And fortunately, I graduated from my masters with good grades, and one of the first company I joined was Yahoo, and it was the same team who built the captcha.
Oh
So,
wow.
so that's how I ended up in the security, and from there on, it has grew on to me. Um, when I joined Yahoo, I was just a web application security engineer, and these days I'm full spectrum, managing security end to end for organizations.
Wow. The security space is so dynamic, and then a lot of people from all walks of life find their path there, and it seems to be changing constantly. From your perspective, what are some of the big changes in cloud security industry and that you've seen over the past few years?
So there are a lot of things we can keep talking on this topic for a whole day, but I'll try to be brief on this and make sure that our audience are engaged enough; they don't get bored. So to start with, initially a cloud, one of the thing people felt that it is not a secure environment. It is in public, it is in somebody's hand, and how would you secure data? These days, those things have changed. People are trusting cloud, and also with the help of many security vendors, we now have environment that is on par or better than the private data centers that we used to run back in the days.
Mhm.
So that's one of the big challenge. Second, big improvement that I've seen. Second thing that I really appreciate these days is when early days, right? Like if I go back into history for myself, it was 2010, 2011. I joined Netflix, and Netflix was going through their own cloud transformation journey.
Mhm.
And I was part of a security team, and we were told that, hey, we have this very secure credit card environment. We need to move it to cloud. And it was just like moving it to cloud was simple, right? You take a server, put it into cloud, it's all right. But then talking to your auditors, talking to your CISOs, bosses, your customers, that was the hardest part. Everybody basically said that, oh, that is craziest thing you can ever ever do. Take your PCI data and put it into cloud. Craziest thing ever. We never heard it. Our auditors basically say that we can't certify it. This is not. There is no precedence to this. So what I'm trying to put forward here is that in early days people did not understand cloud, and there was not enough of the people to help you build the cloud security.
Mhm.
Nowadays, if you go out there, there are enough people who understands cloud and cloud security as well. But also, I want to put um, one sentence here, which is, when I say that there are people, I wouldn't say that there are plenty of people, but I do have enough of allies that I can work with, I can talk about, and we can discuss. One of the good example is that, how you and me, we are talking about it. Cloud is important, data is important, so that's the reason for this. So that's
Yeah.
a good part.
Yeah. It's a good note about the trends, and let's talk about like the sheer scale of it. One of the issues we're seeing in the security space is that, especially among the larger enterprises, just the volume of security data. What's some challenges you've seen with your teams when it comes to that kind of scale?
That's very interesting question. And I want to preface this question that yes, I agree that security data is enormous, but overall, the data that any organization, any enterprises are processing, are so first of all collecting, processing, and using it to improve their customer experience, that have like probably gone hundredfold. And that is now, as you say, right? It is also true for security as well. um as I was mentioning earlier, right, like there are a lot of security vendors out there, uh, and also all the cloud providers together. All of these guys, they work together, they have API integrations, they are monitoring each other, their services, etc. And all of this data is now all of the systems are now generating security events and data, and that's a huge amount. So yeah, it's just crazy how in today's world enterprises are dealing with both enterprise data, which is used for customers, and then
Mhm.
security data, which is used to secure their own environments. Uh,
Mhm.
and one of the thing that I want to mention is that even with all of this, right, I have been experiencing that the enterprise data, which is on the customer side, customer experience improvement, there is a lot of development, a lot of investment has been out there, which is helping your business analyst, your management team to analyze and improve using those data. But in the
Right.
security world, we have data, but we don't have a good ways to process it as of today.
Are there any security measures or procedures you feel that a company can use at any scale, any size?
Security measures. I mean, we can start with basic things, right? Like security. Like this is always I've been saying this to people when people ask me on security measures. You don't have to make it complex, right? When you are starting on your security journey, you can go out there. There are a lot of benchmarks and compliances, which will help you step by step on what type of environment you have, right? Like, are you processing sensitive customer data? Are you processing customer financial data, etc.? And based on that, they will help you provide a step-by-step instruction, a framework using which you can secure your organization, your enterprise, your customers, your end users, and your infrastructure. So in to mention for a few of those things, right, like what are these frameworks and what are these benchmarks. So I would start with the CIS, Center for Internet Security. They
Mhm.
put out security benchmarks for mostly all widely known software out there, right? So we can take example of like cloud service providers such as Amazon, Azure, databases like Oracle, MySQL, and web servers like Tomcat, Apache, HA Proxy, etc. So for all of this, they have a clear step by step checkboxes and instructions on if you need to secure your server, what do you have to do? Here are the 10 steps or 15 steps. And if you go implement those, it will be considered as a secure according to the CIS benchmarks. So that's one good starting point for any of the organization, any of the security engineer that are starting. Second, once you are into your maturity, you can opt for ISO. So as we probably all know, ISO is a governing body who sets out the standards for how to operate your environment. So from security point of view, there is a well-known standard called ISO 27001. So that is one of the framework and compliances that I really trust and go behind. um, what I get out of ISO 27001, that not only it secures your infrastructure and environment, but it also prepares your management and your organization to manage security in the correct manner. So that's one of the good maturity north star that you can aim for when you are in your security journey.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about challenges before, so let's talk solutions now. When we're learning about more about what you do, what are some things that teams and vendors can do in the data government space to help people in your role to make your job easier?
Sorry if you can repeat.
Sure. What can teams or vendors in the data governance or data security world space help the people in your role?
Great question. So, data governance and data security, it's it's a very critical point nowadays in the cloud environment.
Hmm.
Um, so we have, as a community, as an industry, we have invested a lot into protecting the perimeter. But at the end of the day, for any organization, data is the key, right? Data is the crown jewel. And at the end of the day, we are building all the security controls that we have to protect the enterprise data, whether it's a security data, customer data, or financial data for enterprise in itself. Um, with the proliferation of the cloud, one of the things that is happening is it's easy to collect data from your systems and processes. And the systems or processes, they are continuously generating this data, right? So now one of the challenges that is happening is when you collect the data and put it into your data lake, a lot of data officers, security engineers, security officers as well, they lose track of what data an organization have and how it is governed. um, so to start here, to answer your question, I would say that one of the basic problem in the data governance field today is ability for organization officers to understand what data do I have, where is the data, and who is accessing this data. There's like three simple questions, right?
Sure.
If we are able to start with this three simple question, then you will be able to figure out like how to govern this data going forward, like who has authority to access this data and who has authority to process the data and so on, right? Like ask all of this question. There's lot many questions to ask around, like how data is used across different type of organization, different type of organizations sitting inside different geographies like Europe or EMEA or APAC or whatever. So from um, once we answer like where, what, and who, then we will be able to move forward on to how to secure this data and how to govern it.
Hmm.
So as of today, uh, as I would ask our security vendors and security governance providers to ensure that make life easier for the officers, because this data is huge. It is pretty hard and complex problem to figure out like where is the data, because in the cloud there are numerous amount of ways to store and process data. And so provide an ability to track data across the whole cloud, whether it's a structured data or unstructured data, and then ability to classify it on an automated basis so that officers don't have to manually, a human don't have to manually classify it, and then also build out a profile on who is accessing this data, right? Like what are the users, what are the applications, and where they are coming from. So this is the very basic thing that I'm looking for as of today.
Sure. From the outside looking in, what would you say today is the relationship between data security and data governance?
Uh, Data security and data governance, they are actually needs to be merged, right? Like as of today, people are looking this as a two different verticals. Um, but at the end of the day, it has to have a single platform, single domain that we need to look at it. And what the benefits that comes out of this is like you will be able to now treat your data as a crown jewel, and now not only you are securing it, but you are also making it easier for people to be able to access. When we have it separate, right, data security is a different topic, different group of people, and then data governance is a different topic, different people, group of people who are managing that, then it creates a rift between who has access, who is responsible to secure it, and then how to grant accesses for this. Like basically, it creates a time delays, right? Like when a financial analyst wants to go and access the data, build out dashboards, build out their planning, he has to go through multiple teams now. So rather than that, if we can bring this together in one tool, one process, then it makes life simpler for the whole organization. And it also allows business organizations to move at the DevOps speed, right? Like we all talk about DevOps, right? Like DevOps is fast, they are agile, they can make changes faster, but we need to enable rest of the organization to be able to do the same. We can't when DevOps organization or security organizations are securing this data, they can't say that like we will move fast, but you don't have access, right? You need to do XYZ to get the access to this. Make life
Mhm.
simple for the rest of the organization.
Yeah. From your perspective, what does the rest of the industry think about data governance?
Um, Data governance is certainly an important topic, and I think most of the large and medium-sized organizations are looking at this problem one or another way. And there is a lot of ways to tackle this problem, right? Like you look at the laws and regulations, compliances, or you have the whole data governance program. But as we discussed before, um, they most of the organizations are right now only focusing on the data governance, right? um, and we need to ensure that rather than just focusing on the data governance, we need to look at this problem as a whole and include data security within that, and make sure that it's the one single problem that we are looking at and trying to solve it.
Yeah. In your opinion, though, how does good data governance impact managing data at scale?
So good data governance, what it allows is ability for the finance or like any of the analytics team to move fast and make quick decisions using this data. And that is a key in today's world, right? Like if you I think more like a lot of people say this, that data is a new gold. And when you have this gold available in your organization, yes, you need to protect it, but you need to make sure that your teams are able to utilize that gold, right, when they need it on demand. So,
Mhm.
good data governance program will have its roots in the data management itself, how data is collected, processed, stored, and managed, and from there it will build out a data governance strategies and policies. Um, Marrying these two worlds of collecting, processing, storing data, and then the data governance on top of it allows the fastest ways, shortest time for your analytics teams to make decisions or bring the decisions out of it and help businesses progress faster.
Mhm. Wow, wealth of knowledge and perspective. Thanks so much, Pathik Patel, for being on the show. But if someone wanted to connect with you and ask you more follow up questions or learn more about your story, how would they go about doing that?
Multiple ways. So first, you can find me on Twitter at Pathik PA. So my first name and PA, the letter together. Also, I'm I'm on the LinkedIn as well. So that's the second way people can reach it out. Search for Pathik and Informatica, and you'll find me.
Well, before we let you go, before you get on your merry way, we have one more question we ask all our guests here on Data Secured, and that is, if you had a magic wand and could
Uh-huh.
change anything about data security or governance, what would it be and why?
Uh, if I have magic wand, I would bring in a tool, or I will actually make these vendors, like there are a lot of security vendors these days. I want all of them to be under one umbrella and start thinking about data security governance as one problem rather than a separate one.
Hmm.
um, and especially like if you come into my day-to-day life, right, when I meet with my data vendors that are doing something around my vendors that are offering tools and services around data, I ask them this question all the time, that yes, you are solving a problem for me, but it's a subset of the problem. It is not the whole problem. How the data is such an important topic that if I just solve the subset of the problem, my management is not going to happy about it. Right? They will ask me 10 different questions about the rest of the problem that you have not been solving. So this is the topic that I always bring up with my security vendors and try to force them to think about how can they offer a multidisciplinary solution that solves the whole data security and governance problem.
There you have it, magic wand ready to go, Mr. Patel. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on Data Secured.